Hey there, welcome to the Gyro Step Milwaukee Bucks podcast, probably a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN, and presented by our pals at Prize Picks, where you can use code Eurostep to get $50 free when you play $5 for the first time at Prize Picks, whether you win or lose. What a deal. I am Ty Windisch, one of your hosts, joined as always by I was going to say, there's a word that means like incomparable. That's what I was going for, incomparable. But for some reason, I haven't drank enough of my coffee yet. The word that was going to come out was incomprehensible. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to call Rohan incomprehensible. That's not good. You're very comprehensible, Rohan Katti.
You know what? I would have taken both. It's a Monday morning. I think both are very. I think even the one you wanted to say is even more.
Is that a Freudian slip?
And
Hopefully
you know what?
not.
It's completely fair. For me, on a morning, you know how it is. You've known me long enough. We've been doing this long enough time that Monday morning, or just any morning in general, is not my cup of tea. But
I think you do a great job every pod, morning, noon, or night, Rohan.
Thank you. I just realized also, I'm not wearing any green. It is St. Patrick's
Day.
Yeah,
I wore the green strategically. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I will admit here, I'll be the incomprehensible one now. I said to my wife, I'm surprised. I thought St. Patrick's Day usually was on a weekend. And she's like, it's just March 17th. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's one of those holidays where it's like not on a set day.
It's thrown up. Like holidays are kind of split down the middle, right?
Yeah.
Like
it's like you got like a 50-50 shot. Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of them are like the third Thursday or something like that.
And I feel like I never I feel like I don't remember St. Patrick's Day like being on a Wednesday, you know?
No. Well, because it's also like they stagger the celebrations like it's homecoming week or something, or spring break. Remember, like high schools and colleges do that? I feel like too close to each other. They don't want too much partying at once. Like, well, it's Milwaukee St. Pat, it's Chicago St. Like, what? Who decides this?
I'll tell you what, I'm currently in Chicago, and this past weekend for St. Patrick's Day, what a madhouse.
Did you jump in the Green River?
No, I did not partake in any of those. I was driving people there, but I did not partake.
Too much going on for Rohan to.
Oh, exactly. I was watching basketball.
Conference tournaments, big NBA games. Rohan said, no, none of this for me. I'm locked in here.
I was
good.
But it's just it's crazy. Like the amount. I think like 500,000 people show up to watch the river dying, and it's cool. But like everyone I talk to says it's not worth going. Like it's like a cool novelty. It's like I'm glad they do it, and it's fun. They've done ecological studies. It doesn't harm like the wildlife or anything, so that's good. But
I did a big wink. Of course it doesn't. I know. I actually did. Have you ever read about like? It's like the Chicago Plumbers Union does it, and they refuse to disclose how they do it because apparently they're worried that if people, because it only takes them like 40 gallons to do the whole river, and people are worried like if they disclose how they do it, people would be able to dye every body of water colors.
That's crazy.
Isn't that fascinating?
You know what? Good for them for keeping it secret, so we don't have just like a red Atlantic Ocean.
With great power comes great responsibility, and
shout out to the Chicago Plumbers Union.
They're on the ball. Anyway, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone who celebrates. I'm not going to qualify it.
I was going to say especially Adam, but he probably doesn't want me to say that.
Yeah, don't know if it's as big of a deal for real Irish people. I'm allowed to say that because I'm a fake Irish. I'm 1/8 Irish. I'm allowed to say that.
And that's why I'm deferring to everyone else.
Yep. Okay, but the Bucks. Oh, before we get into the back-to-back, so very important Pacers win. Feel really good about. Pretty disappointing Thunder loss. Not really surprising. We'll get into those two games. You mentioned before we started recording, we were remiss to not do this on Friday when I was on with Justin Garcia. Still a great podcast you should go listen to. The Bucks and the NBA world and the world lost Junior Bridgeman on March 11th. He passed away in Louisville after suffering a heart attack at an event, I think while speaking, which is really an unfortunate and pretty terrible, I think, way to go. But, you know, if you're not aware, and you should be aware, I think if you've watched any Bucks games recently, at least that this happened, because the Bucks, credit to the organization, was pretty quick on getting the Bridgeman patch on the jerseys, and they did a tribute in the first home game after, which was very nice, and it looks like they're going to wear those jerseys the rest of the year. But Junior Bridgeman has his number retired by the Bucks, played a lot of great years for the Bucks after coming over in the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trade, and then despite I think his max salary he ever made, I don't think he made the max, but was like $300K, went on to be an incredible entrepreneur, businessman, and philanthropist, and was, I believe, just before LeBron, the first former NBA player to become a billionaire. And again, very amazing that LeBron did it too. LeBron is not making $300K a year, and Junior Bridgeman does not have a lifetime Nike contract. He invested in, I think, the Bucks, and then the Bucks was later. I read this.
The Bucks was prior to the
wrong.
season.
The Bucks was just now. Ended up with an empire of Wendy's, Chili's, did a Coca-Cola bottling company. I believe he had a magazine as well that Ebony and Jet he bought as well. Really just kind of grinded his way to $1 billion. I mean, obviously the NBA playing career helps, but that was only the first chapter for him. And then September 24th, 2024, buys 10% of the Bucks. That's a ton for a former player.
It's a minority owner, but it's not an insignificant minority owner.
Yeah, I mean, there's Aaron Rodgers bought Giannis bought a piece of the Brewers, and they buy 0.5%. It's still cool, but 10% is this was a legitimate businessman making an investment, not, I'm playing for the team, it'll be fun, it'll be a good PR, whatever else. And there was a lot of excitement, I think, from fans and the Bucks org as well to have him involved, given his ties to the organization. And
third in games played,
was one of the great sixth men of his era. I believe my dad and I were at his jersey retirement game, which was a very cool ceremony. He was there for that. But yeah, he bought out several minority owners of the team from probably the Aaron Rodgerses and a lot of those random small percentage ones.
You were there in 1988?
What?
You were there in
jersey in 1988?
Yeah.
Oh, then I wasn't. No.
It's time.
Not that old. Whose retirement game I don't think it was Marcus, was it?
I don't know. I don't think it was Junior Bridgeman.
It wasn't Junior Bridgeman. Well, never mind.
But no, Junior Bridgeman, an absolute titan of the franchise, and it's really sad. It's gone way too soon. Age of 71. Just a horrendous loss for the Milwaukee community, the NBA community, and just people in general. I believe there's some TNT reports that same day that he had passed last Tuesday, when the Bucks were playing the Pacers for the first time, though, and we'll talk about the second time, but that reportedly, according to Jimmy Haslam and other people, that Junior Bridgeman was he was a minority owner, but he wasn't going to act like a minority owner. He was going to wanted to be involved in a lot of the decisions. He was going to be at some of the games this weekend and meeting up with ownership and all that to talk about decisions going forward. And it's really unfortunate and really sad that, a titan, like I said, of this franchise was ready to not only be an owner, but also be part of the decision-making processes and really involve himself in this franchise, and passed right before.
Yeah, and I believe I was at Junior Bridgeman bobblehead game. That's what I was.
That makes more sense.
Back in 2013, 14-ish. But yeah, a huge loss again for the NBA, for the Bucks in particular, but just for the world, because he was also doing a lot of philanthropy outside of basketball as well.
I think the best quote I heard, surprisingly, was a report about Jimmy Haslam. In that he heard about it and he was first sad, and really sad, and then it turned to anger because he said that no one else is going to be able to meet Junior.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't see the Haslam quotes beforehand, but that's very very nice of him to put out there that way. And yeah, it just speaks to how great, I never, can't say I ever had a conversation with him, but everything you hear about Junior Bridgeman is that he's just incredible. So rest in peace to him, most certainly. Switching gears here, it's no good way to do this, but now talking about just basketball, which is, the whole pod usually. Do you want to start with?
We're not going to do 10 minutes on water features this time.
I mean, we're 9.5 minutes in, so we got 10 minutes on a river dying green, and
That's
then some real stuff. So we're still on brand, I think. Do you want to start with the Thunder game or the Pacers game? I think we
let's
can just
start with
talk.
the let's start with the Pacers games because that was a game because we
Yeah,
talked about the last one.
yeah.
Is a little more pressing. Actually, did we? I mean, I haven't talked about the last Pacers game.
I thought we did. Did we? Did you not?
No.
Oh well, it's disappointing.
Yeah. But let's talk about this, the most pressing one, because you of course talked with Justin.
Yeah, well, we talked more about the Lakers game overall, but I mean, it felt like this Pacers game was the crucial bounce back the Bucks needed following the last one, where I mean they were really in control of this game. I will say I don't like to be this guy. Probably the worst officiating in any fourth quarter. I mean, this was the most I've felt like there's an anti-Bucks agenda in a game in years. In years, I would say. I mean, was it game 7, Brooklyn in 21. I felt like there was some pretty bad calls, and the Bucks kind of rallied and then ended up winning. I don't know if it was this bad. I mean, if you missed the game or don't remember, Giannis has 3 fouls in the fourth and clearly decided, like last game, I'm going to distribute more, and he still had 7 assists. I mean, he was 13 of 15 at one point in this game. He ends it with 34, 10, 7. Shooting 14 of 19 from the field, which is 73%, made all 6 of his free throws. Like, Giannis decided, I'm just going to keep scoring and we're going to beat the Pacers this way. And then at 3 personal fouls, he gets 1 for barely bumping Halliburton on a drive, which I think was probably the one I would say is a foul the most.
I would say that one.
It was close, but
yeah, it's close. It's like you're gonna give it.
It's ticky tacky for a player like Giannis, but Giannis is the one player like Giannis who doesn't get that benefit of the doubt. So whatever. Then Nesmith slides over late with clearly a foot on the charge circle, not set up in time to slide under Giannis, who's spinning the dunk. And they call the charge, and Doc had just used the challenge
of Giannis' career, by the way.
Yeah, so disappointing. Thanasis goaded Doc into wasting the challenge, so we could have given TA a down stock for that game, and so they couldn't challenge it.
Not the best TA look.
Honestly. Not the best TA look. He did the VAR thing, which was funny, but then it backfired. Also, just never listen to players, including inactive, unsigned free agent players. When it comes to challenges, just don't listen to them. So can't challenge it, and the other refs don't care to overturn it, so that's 5. And then Nembhard, just knowing Giannis has 5 fouls, like clearly initiates contact with him on a drive while Giannis is in what I thought was very clear guarding position, and I don't think it was even contact that necessitated a whistle either way in most circumstances. And the immediate whistle blow, and then Giannis is fouled out. So from 3 personal fouls to fouled out on, I would say, again, the Halliburton one, I guess, at most 1 legitimate foul call. For a player like Giannis, and there may be people rolling their eyes, oh, he's just a player, whatever. Okay, that if you argue it should be that way, and any player should foul out the same as any other, if you want to live in that world, you can pretend. That's not how the NBA works. We all know that's not how the NBA works. Watch any Golden State Warriors game. If any player did what Draymond Green does in every game, they would be thrown out of the game. There are different standards for different players. And when you're a Giannis, I'm sorry, you should have to actually commit 3 clear fouls to get thrown out of a game when you come into the fourth quarter with 3 personals. I thought that was a horrible refereeing job, and there were other calls not involving Giannis that were very bad as well. And the Bucks fight through it and win. And so I could see if someone said, oh, they should have won by more, they blew their big lead. I mean, that game was just a disgraceful officiating performance. The fact that they got the win with Giannis fouled out for multiple minutes at the end is a big accomplishment regardless.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they're going to lose this game. I was like, that's what this is tracking to do. But no, it's just it was egregious officiating, and like people are going to point to like the free throw disparity. And I don't know how many times we need to say this, but teams relying on jumpers are not going to get as more free throws as teams relying on drives. That's just like, think about it for like 2 minutes. Just like, I mean, use your critical thinking skills. It was not great. It was really bad. I think I saw someone on Twitter say, imagine if they changed the charge call to like just like tapping yourself on the shoulder or something instead of just like making it a whole song and dance. about like the referees and like making that call,
Yeah.
you'd probably see less charge calls.
Like if they didn't get to do the whole like fist pump gesture. Yeah. That's a good call. That was rough. But the team played very well. Giannis and Dame led the way, combined for 59 points. So one of the things I talked about with Justin was like those guys probably need to combine for like either 50 points or 20 assists every single game, and they combined for 59 points and 15 assists. Like that's going to get it done a lot of nights, and it did this night. Also, it doesn't hurt that the Bucks do shoot 40% from 3 on the night. Dame was 6 for 12 and provided most of that, but Trent has certainly found the stroke again since injury. Prince was 2 for 4 in that game. Brook made his only 3. AJ Green chipped in 2, and KPJ added 1 as well. Just a really good win. I thought defensively they were pretty good most of the night. I mean, they basically dared Miles Turner to shoot, and he just could not make them pay.
For the second consecutive game.
Yeah, they don't respect him, I don't think, that much, which is very interesting.
Which is bold, I'll say.
It is bold.
It's a bold shout for a guy who has been a consistent three-point shooter, is shooting 39.3% from 3 this season on 5.5 attempts a game. Like,
I wonder, is the plan just to go game by game?
Maybe just like see what's going on. Like if he misses his first couple, it's like, okay, it's done.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where they're at with Brook and Drop right now. Is like, let's make them prove they can beat it because we'd rather play this way, which I don't think is necessarily a mistake.
It's very Bud-esque.
It is very. Oh, well, the difference would be if they actually do make a change during the game, which Bud would not do. that's
very true.
All right, we've shown we can beat the Drop. What are you going to do, Bud? Bud is the rock, paper, scissors player. Like, they're never going to see another rock coming. They're never going to see it coming. No one would expect me to shoot rock 100 straight times, right? And then the
you're always going to
time, and then here's what we do. The 101st time, rock.
They're going to they are going to think I'm going paper.
They are going to be so sure that I'm going paper.
Not paper, scissors.
Whichever. The difference is in basketball, you don't have to commit to what your possession is before you see what the defense is, which is slightly a problem. Anyway, any other thoughts? I mean, I know this was 2 games ago. We also have this Thunder game. But I thought this was a good Bucks game, and Dame and Giannis did what they're just going to have to do, which is be the engines for the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think just getting the season series is very important.
Yeah. Good call. Yeah, the outlook for the rest of the season is huge based on this game.
Yeah, you have the tiebreaker over Indiana now, which gives you basically an extra game in the standings. It's very important to trying to keep home court advantage. For this team, it's looking more and more likely that this is going to be the first round matchup, which is.
I mean, it's honestly, it's really interesting. I mean, the Pacers have 2 games in the loss column on Detroit. I should look up. I don't know who has that tiebreaker. They're both 5-5 in their last 10, and the Bucks are 6-4. So it's like it's all kind of just mushed up right now until one of these teams can make some sort of a run, or if one or more of them just falls off. Also, the Knicks have been scuffling, and Milwaukee has made up no ground because they have just not been good enough, unfortunately. No. So yeah, I mean, there's still a chance the Bucks end up 6, which would be really bad.
Have the Pacers and Pistons not played each other?
No shot, they've not played each other. I mean, not even Adam Silver. True. Not even Adam Silver could build a schedule this bad. No, they played.
I'm trying.
It's already over. The Pacers won the season series.
NBA stats, your website's broken.
Yeah, I am on. I just use B-Ball Ref for this stuff because it's easy to sort. They are 3-1 against.
I'm sorting by the wrong variable.
That's
why.
NBA stats. Why would you even put the wrong variable in for Rohan to sort by?
I put field goals made equals Detroit.
All right,
we're talking about being
incomprehensible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Talking about being on a Monday morning.
Yeah. The East, by the way, the Eastern Conference. Don't look at the standings page. Look at me. Guess how many teams in the top 11 are on a winning streak actively?
Ooh, active winning streak. It's not the Knicks. It's not the Cavs.
No. So by that, to be clear, I just mean they have not lost their last game. That's all.
Not the Knicks. It's not the Cavs. It's not the Bucks. It's not the Pacers.
Oh,
It's not the Pistons.
no.
It's not the Heat.
No, they are on the longest losing streak in the conference. 7 losses for the Heat.
I don't think it's the Bulls.
Nope.
So that's 7. So it's at minimum 4 or maximum 4. 2 teams?
2 teams. The Celtics are on a 2-game winning streak, and the Magic beat the Cavs. So one of those 2 teams had to
I was
be.
like, oh, it's not the Cavs because the Magic beat them. So.
And then the bottom 4 seeds, 3 out of the 4 are on a 1 or 2 game winning streak.
Shout out to the Wizards, man. Shout out Jordan Poole.
The Wizards, I mean,
did you see that game?
Yeah. I didn't see the game, but the amazing buzzer beater. Jordan Poole is a legitimate player, and I think we've forgotten that because he's on a bad team and Draymond punched him. But he's a good player. Milwaukee's own. One we should take more pride in.
100%. You see his post-game interview?
No, I didn't.
He was like live on TV. It's like, oh, what was your mentality going for that 3, just that deep 3? He's like, I just wanted to get out of here, get the F out of here.
Wait, where were they playing? Who were they playing?
Denver.
That's hilarious. Yeah, they swept Denver.
Yeah, crazy.
But yeah, huge for the Bucks, who are now tied in the loss column. They're half a game up technically over Indiana, but to your point, since Milwaukee won the season series, they're really about a game and a half up, or they, one up in the loss column, you could say, even though they are tied in record. Currently, Indiana's played 1 fewer game, and then Detroit is 2 back in the loss column of either. So the Bucks could pretty much bury them, assuming that Detroit obviously doesn't just win 3 more games versus over Indiana in the aggregate. Like if Detroit, Indiana, and the Bucks win roughly equal amounts of games going forward, the Bucks have the opportunity to basically lock them into 6 with those 2 remaining games, which, I mean, Detroit would have to be pretty remarkable to make it up to 4 or probably even 5 now if Milwaukee wins at least one of those 2 and they lose the season series to both Indiana and to Milwaukee. So kind of a fall off there, and their division record is even worse than the Bucks now. So the tiebreaker, and I think they could tie break the Bucks. I still think they would end up losing the season series. So that's that for Detroit. Again, they could just, if they beat the Bucks twice and they win a lot of their other games, they could still jump up. But you would hope the Bucks would not let that happen.
Why do the Bucks always end their season against Detroit?
I do feel like that happens a lot. Although they don't technically end it this year. It's just 2 games close to the end.
I thought it was the end.
No, I thought they ended because the schedule got all pushed. Oh no, you're right. No, my bad. 2 straight to end the actual last 2 games of the year. In Detroit, Friday, April 11th. Home, Sunday, April 13th. And that second one is going to be a back-to-back. I can already feel myself being mad on Thursday, April 10th, if the Bucks are in somehow a heated 4th quarter with the deceased Pelicans team and Giannis has to play 40 minutes in that game.
Yeah, we already know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because the Bucks are just kind of mid.
Yeah, speaking of, we can now talk about the Thunder game, which to your point, there's only 2 back-to-backs left this season. That's pretty good. I don't know. I go back and forth on this game. So, yes, it was a back-to-back for Milwaukee. It was also a back-to-back for the Thunder, who were also
to travel.
Who had to travel, were without Jalen Williams, were without Lou Dort, were without, Usman Jang. Okay, we're kind of
you lost the plot there.
2 starters. 2 starters is tough. They started Kenrich Williams, former number 1 fan. I was formerly number 1 fan of, who did not score a point in the game. And Kason Wallace, who was pretty good, but is not J-Dub, or Lou Dort. And they still just kind of handled the Bucks, although pretty close game outside of the second quarter. I mean, there's some garbage time in the 4th, so I'm not really going to count that. But OKC wins the 3rd by 6. Milwaukee wins the 1st by 2. So you're looking at a 4-point game going into the 4th, if not for OKC's 29-15 victory in the second quarter. And then the Bucks did let OKC put up 39 in the 3rd, which is obviously way too many. But the Bucks managed 33 of their own points to keep that one close at least. It just felt like OKC was better even with the players out, throughout the game. I remember Marcus Johnson's words from the last Bucks-Cavs game were on my mind. Just look how easy it is for OKC. Look how hard it is for Milwaukee. And the Bucks are just prone to these offensive droughts during games that you just can't afford, frankly. And maybe it sounds like I'm calling him out, not trying to really. You can't afford if you're a Damian Lillard team. Like, I know they love defense. It's great. It's great they've become a good defense. Like, that's really important, obviously. You can't rely just on defense when you're starting Dame at the one. It's just not going to work. It's not his strength as a player, and there just needs to be an adjustment. Like, Dame wasn't. No one was good enough for the Bucks. I don't think anyone had a good game necessarily. A couple guys had bad games. One, which I think we'll talk about quite a bit. But I don't know. What were your thoughts watching this? I mean, they played OKC close. They won the first quarter. You're feeling pretty good, and then the wheels pretty much fell off. They didn't score for like 5 minutes to end the second quarter.
Yeah, it's just what we've been talking about for this team for a little bit now. It's just a lack of offensive creativity, a lack of just like offensive execution. It's a team that looks way more lost than it should be. And I don't know how long we can just keep beating this drum of this team should be an elite offensive team. It should be.
It has to be. Forget should. It has to be.
Yeah, absolutely right. It has to be. It's great, like you said, that they're a pretty good defense, but this team should be making its money on the offensive end. That's what it is built to do. That is what the personnel are supposed to do, and they can't. And I struggle to think about what the solution is. I was on the fan with Rami, who was filling in for Sparky the other day, and we were talking a lot about just what's wrong with this team, and we spent a lot of time trying to diagnose, like, oh, could it be this, could it be this, could it be this, and it's like, it's everything. Like, this is a team that just is not doing anything well that it should be doing well. It should be producing threes at a high rate. It should be an elite rim pressure team. It should be a team that just functionally works so well together as a unit, because all the pieces fit together, except they don't. It's like trying to make a puzzle, and it's like think about it like a 10-piece puzzle. Like, that's a very small puzzle.
It should be a puzzle you can handle.
Yeah. 1,000-piece puzzles are a little more challenging and take a little bit more time. But a 10-piece puzzle, should take you like 2 minutes to put together. The Bucks and Doc and the whole coaching staff have somehow mislabeled every single piece and are just trying to put a corner piece in the middle, thinking, hey, we got double edges in here. That must mean it's a good piece. You got to put that in the middle. Just not making sense of anything. And it just, I don't even know what to say. It's a team that should fit together but doesn't.
Yeah, I kind of think that the issue is that they've just reached where they were earlier in the year when the offense didn't work, just because they don't play enough spacers. Like, they want to be a kind of like ball screen. It's not always Dame and Giannis, but often them, or like Brook or whoever. We're going to run screens. We're going to get Giannis either posted up or rolling toward the rim. And from there, he can either obviously go attack the basket, he can shoot his midi, or he can hit an open shooter. The problem is the open shooters they're not good enough shooting the ball. One of them is, right, Taurean Prince has continued to do a good job, is a very good shooter. Actually has really impressed me the last couple of games since we said he should be benched. I think he's done a good job. He's not been amazing defending the guys they ask him to defend, but otherwise I think he's been pretty good. I think Kyle Kuzma, one of the issues for them lately has been he is just in an offensive funk that is very difficult for the Bucks to overcome unless Brook Lopez is lacing it from three, which we just know it's here and there. His percentage post All-Star is very good. I think it's like 37%, but he's not, it's not going to be like 2 out of every 3 games. Brook is like 4 for 6. He's not one of those shooters. But I was having this conversation in our Discord yesterday, gspn.info, at the About tab. You can join the Discord if you'd like. And so it was brought up like Brook's just not good enough of a shooter. And I said, well, I think it's hard to levy that against Brook Lopez when you look at the 9-man rotation they're rolling with right now. He's the 5th best shooter on the floor. That's a team construct and rotation construct problem more than a Brook Lopez problem, that you're relying on him to basically be a top half or, middling shooter on your team, when we know he's going to have a lot of nights like against the Thunder where he was just 0 for 3 and not going to take many, and There's a couple games he goes off every month where it's great and he can kind of carry you, but it's not going to be every game. The problem is he's a better shooter than Kyle Kuzma, who ended up 2 for 5 of deep, which is good for him, but was just 4 of 11 from the field overall. He's certainly a better 3-point shooter than Giannis. We don't have to. He's made like 9 threes all year. KPJ has been red hot. I mean, you could say, I guess KPJ is better. On the season, he is not better. Whatever. You can call it a toss-up if you want. And then Jericho Sims was already not an offensive player, now has like a broken thumb and scored 0 points. Had a good game, but is not going to help you with spacing. That's a lot of your rotation. Like, I just think it's not working because the floor is cramped, and the Giannis actions when the floor is cramped just aren't as good for the same reason that the Ajax starting lineup stopped working, because you're just not going to score that many points if teams are very confident that they can send 3 at Dame and Giannis every time when they do an action and not pay for it, and the Bucks aren't making them pay for it. So I think there's 2 ways forward. You figure out how to make this group work, or you make a starting lineup change that frankly doesn't involve Taurean Prince, because he is, for all the faults, still the second best shooter in the league at high volume, which is exactly what they need right now.
Yeah, it comes back to a problem that you and I have been talking about for a little bit now. It's just like the pieces should be there. It's just they're not putting them like in positions to succeed. Like,
yeah.
Can I say a bold take?
Yeah.
I might be taking your bold take because I know you said you have a bold lineup take for today. I'm going to say it right now. I don't think Taurean Prince is the guy who should go from the starting lineup.
Yeah, you're taking it.
Oh, dang it. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, maybe.
Should be Giannis. I'm kidding.
Whoa. That's exactly what I was going to say. He could win 6th man of the year.
It's Kuzma.
Yeah, you took it. So I've seen the idea that it should be Brook, and people go, "Oh, here goes big Mr. Litmus test guy. He's going to defend Brook." I think Brook should be a role player on the team, where basically like the way the Bucks handle Miles Turner's shooting. Like, does Brook have it? Is he helping you defensively? Okay, let's play him a little more. He shouldn't play 30 minutes in every single game. He definitely shouldn't have played that much against OKC. He just looks slow, back-to-back. He's old. They should have rested him more. I do wonder, are they being a little cautious with Sims lately because of the finger? I'm not sure. But you could go small with Kuzma and Giannis. Anyway, that's besides the point. I'm not saying that Brook should be stapled to like 35 points and starting because he's so great. I don't think starting Sims makes it worse. We just talked. There's no spacing. I like Sims a lot. Their defense would be good. You need spacing with that lineup, or there's going to be 4 players stapled to the paint at all times, and like one guy guarding Dame/Prince, and you're going to lose a lot of games because you're going to start getting outscored 6-13 because you're turning the ball over because the spacing's terrible and Giannis has no room. And I've also seen start Giannis at the 5. I just don't think they're going to do it. I don't think Doc wants to do it. I don't think Giannis wants to do it. One of my answers is do that more throughout games. I just don't think they're going to start there, so I'm not suggesting that either. So therein is how I came to the same conclusion that you did on the pod, that it's got to be Kuzma. Or, I mean, the other option is like figure it out that you can score better with Kuzma on the floor. Like, if you can do that, like I think he has kind of cut to the basket more, and he just has been pretty bad there, which doesnn't help either. So here's the data.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
It's they play him almost like a bench player anyway. Like, I don't even think it would be that much of an adjustment. Like, the way he's always the first guy out. Like, you always bring in like Trent or AJ or someone else, or KPJ, and just get like another guard who can theoretically space the floor out there. More so Trent and AJ than KPJ. But he's always the first guy out. He sometimes doesn't even close, and he's out there with bench lineups. Like, he's treated like a bench player now.
Except for they ask him to guard a lot. That's what complicates. And he's done a really good job. Like, he had some really good possessions on Shea, which is why I think he should be more of a closer than a starter. And maybe you close more with Giannis at the 5 and Kuzma at the 4. Because those are your 2 ways to get more spacing in the starting lineup. You either move Kuzma out or move Giannis to the 5, Kuzma to the 4, and add another spacer for Lopez, which you still then have, Kuzma and then Giannis, who's not a spacer, but you're adding another plus spacer, whereas Brook is like probably neutral. I mean, he's doing like tight screens and stuff, which is helpful to Giannis, but he's not helping with the overall floor spacing. You just need more scenarios throughout the game when Dame is on ball, Giannis is interacting with him directly, and then one corner is Prince and one corner is Trent. Those are the floor balancing where teams really are put in tough spots. Teams do not care if Kyle Kuzma's open from three or Lopez, and that's just too many, or Giannis, and that's just too many players. So here's the numbers I told you I pulled up unethically. Dame, Prince, Kuzma, Giannis, Lopez, the starters, are winning. They are a 113 offensive rating, which is poor, a 110 defensive rating, which is really good, and a plus 2.9 net. Fine. Actually, probably not fine, as we've talked about. You can't have your starters being mid because it's Dame and Giannis lineups. Most of the Dame Giannis minutes throughout the game together are going to be the starters. That's not good. Those lineups they need to kill. They need to crush. Like, when you build a top-heavy team, the top part of the team needs to be awesome. And the Bucks, way too often this season, have not been. Post All-Star break, Dame, Trent, Prince, Giannis, Lopez. A plus 13 net rating, 131.8 offensive rating, 118.6 defensive rating. So the defense gets worse, but they're way better because they are just crushing teams offensively. And it's a good amount of minutes. I can pull up the exact number, but it's not nothing minutes-wise. I say this is what word did I use? Unethical. Because on the season, that group has not been good. Dame, Trent, Prince, Giannis, Brook on the season has a net rating of just 0.9 plus, which is actually better than I thought. I don't know what's going on right now with NBA stats, but I think post All-Star break is more instructive because they were probably using that group a lot to start the season on their 2-8 run when they were just not good. Because the team was kind of in a funk. Trent wasn't playing well. We've gone over how they started the year plenty.
I don't think that's unethical considering the team reconstructed itself.
Well, I just wanted to be clear with how I'm doing this. I do not feel like they're giving me all the lineup data they gave me last time. But anyway, yeah, plus 13.2, and it's just 31 minutes, so that's a little unethical too. Not a big sample, but it's been really good. And we've seen Doc go to it late in some games when you can tell, okay, they need offense, and the spacing just isn't there. If you can't figure it out with Kuzma and the starters, and I'm not sure you can, and I'm not sure you don't have much time at this point, I would try to start this group, and then my first sub against anything but the biggest teams where Lopez is crushing it, or if he's red hot, would be Lopez for Kuzma, and then you can go with your super switchy smaller lineups that way.
Yeah, I that vision makes so much sense, right? Just being able to have those shooters out there, let Kuzma play to his strengths as an offensive player, let him be more free, because he's not this is not a position for him to succeed. It really isn't. It doesn't play to his strengths. And you shouldn't design a team to play to Kyle Kuzma's strengths when you have Dame and Giannis, but it also isn't to Dame and Giannis' strengths, right? Those two feed and play into each other so much that you need to be able to take both into account. It would benefit both parties so much just to be able to let both of them play more free.
Yeah. The difficulty then, though, is if you have Kuzma and Sims coming off the bench, you don't want to play them together a ton.
But you've been doing that already.
I know you've been doing that already, but then I think you just need to your second sub is probably Sims for Giannis then in those games, and then you just keep, and then AJ comes in for one of the starters, and then you just keep your spacing. KPJ comes in for Dame, which is, he's not as good of a spacer as Dame, but he's going to be on the ball, and that helps. You're still a little tight, but I don't know, man. I just don't know if the starters are going to be able to figure it out in time for playoffs, or if it's that figure out a bull. Can Kuzma just flip the switch? If he shoots 38% from three the rest of the way, they'll be fine. But yeah, watching this group, I'm not as confident as I was when the trade happened that if they're going to continue to roll with this kind of a lineup and play this lineup a ton of minutes, I'm not sure that it will work if Kuzma can't shoot well and Brook. There's 188 minutes post deadline, which I believe is by far the most minutes of any Bucks lineup, which would make sense. They need it to be a lot better, and it's not right now.
Yeah, they really do need it to be a lot better, and we keep saying this every time. We're counting down. There's less than a month left in the regular season. There's not that many games left. What was that? There's 13 games left now for the Bucks?
Yeah. Oh, actually, the second most lineup is Kuzma and Sims bench group, and it's been pretty good. +3 net rating, which is better than the starters have been.
Yeah, like just tread water in those bench units and you're good. Like theoretically, assuming
Oh,
the starters.
except then the next unit is Dame, Green, Trent, Kuzma, Sims, and that's been a minus 20 net rating in 43 minutes. That's a group they've got to make work.
That lineup should work, right?
Yeah.
I think they just can't defend probably at the perimeter.
Yeah, I wonder, is that just Green fouling a ton and that's kind of killing them there?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I think they're in a tough spot. I mean,
Yeah.
I would like to see Giannis start at the five. I mean,
I thought you
that
were
would
just
be
gonna
pretty.
start Like,
No, I think we're gonna see that
see Giannis start.
regardless.
Me too, Ty. Me too.
I think that one will be coming up regardless. But yeah, we've what have we talked about? We've seen that for like 10 minutes this season. The small Giannis lineups.
Yeah. I'm trying to find it right now.
Apparently, we got the number one lineup with Giannis, Kuzma, and Prince besides the starters. This is according to NBA lineups data, which may be unreliable. Is 6 minutes of Dame, KPJ, Prince, Kuzma, Giannis. So we've got almost no sample. 3 minutes of Dame, Trent, Prince, Kuzma, Giannis. So we haven't seen it at all. I mean, they lost those minutes, but we're talking about 10 minutes. So it's hard to draw too many conclusions based on that.
Yeah. And do we think it's actually going to happen?
I don't know. Probably not. Probably not.
I think
mean,
I've lost a lot of my confidence in Doc.
Yeah, me too.
It's really unfortunate. We were so high on him.
I think it was easier before to like figure out the lineups because there just weren't as many players who were like showing that they should play. And now with the newcomers, they all feel so important, but none of them, I mean, again, maybe KPJ, but none of them have really been spacers. And it's just difficult to build lineups that way. And I've seen some like, oh, should Ajax play more? No. I mean, they can't afford it at all.
That's helping your problem.
They can't afford it at all.
And the issue is like, I see a role for Ajax, but it's like, you can't afford to have that in there. You really
if you have 5 of your 10 players, just teams are like, please shoot threes. That's totally untenable. 4 of 9 has been fairly untenable. Again, the 5th is Lopez.
It's crazy. This team went from having so many shooters to not having enough shooters.
Yeah. I think they need to work on they need to make sure they always have at least 3 on the floor. And the starting lineup has 2.
What does it look Lopez. Like we talked about like the Kuz Sims bench mob groups and like how that could work, right? What does that look like with Bob?
Well, that's why I'm kind of nervous too with what you said about Doc, because I've been feeling the same way. And I just feel like this team right now, this collection of players, there's a lot of talent, but I think it's going to need to be like kind of perfectly orchestrated to work. And now I'm like, I don't know, I'm not feeling great that Doc's going to be able to pull all those levers. I think that I think Kuzma, Bob, Sims, and KPJ and a shooter could work. I just don't know if we're going to see Sims as much. The injury clouds it too. So he's got, I forget what it was. His
it was
thumb
like
might
a
need
thumb
surgery.
sprain, and he was asked by, I think this was from Justin Garcia, a good friend of the pod, that it was more serious than they were thinking, and that surgery is something that was being considered. However, he did play.
He played. I mean, I think it's like Rollins, right? Like, I think he's going to do everything he can to play through it, given, like, this is probably the closest Sims has been to, like, getting a real, I mean, he's been under contract, but, like, really breaking out, right?
Yeah,
like,
because he's been incredible.
Yeah, he's been really good, really helpful. Again, I'm not trying to diminish
I
what
saw
he's
some
doing.
People saying, "Oh, imagine if Sims got like a shot and a little bit of post moves, he'd be a $13 million player." No, he'd be a max.
Yeah, he'd be a $30 million. Nick Claxton doesn't have a shot and has maybe some post moves and is like a good value at $25 million. Sims would make $30 million annually or more if he had a jumper and post moves, or maybe either. Not if he had the jumper and his current game, he'd probably be like a $20 to $30 million player.
Yeah, easily.
And I've seen also like get him in the jumper lab.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, it matters. I'm going to assume it never happens. And I think everyone listening should do the same for your own mental well-being.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's necessary. Like,
No, I just take him
just
for what he is.
star in your role.
Him and KPG both. Everyone, KPJ should start next to Damian. Like, can we not be happy they found a very good bench point guard who's like excelling in that role and plays a little bit with Dame? But again, I watch him play with Dame and Giannis, and it's like he just kind of doesn't do anything. He's just kind of there. You know, he draws some fouls. His 3-point fouling has been good. The drawing fouls on his shots. But largely, he's just kind of there in those groups. I don't think it makes as much sense as letting him play a lot as the sixth man or whatever, a bench point guard, and then getting to use more possessions, which is when he really shined the most. But yeah, the Kuzma's been an issue. They got to figure it out. Either play him with different lineups, or can he just start hitting his shots? I mean, the funny thing is he shot the 3-ball decently over the weekend, but just could not make any of his runners or attacking the basket and drew no free throws, which I think he probably should have a couple times. I mean, he got some offensive fouls, which hurt him. I think his whistle's been a little tough too. They just need a much higher success rate from him.
And that's what's going to happen in the postseason. Like, you need to be prepared for the postseason. He hasn't been there in a while, but...
Yeah. Last time, or probably not last time. One of the last times he was there went very well for his team, but he's going to... I'm not confident in the 3, so I think you need to play with the lineups more. And he just needs to be a lot more efficient going to the rim. I still think he should screen and roll more.
Yeah, and that helps when you're playing out with the bench. I think KPJ needs to utilize Kuzma as a screener way, way, way more. Like Sims is good. Like it's sort of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of thing, because that works. Yeah. But also like you need to get other guys involved.
Yeah, well, the issue then again is like, okay, if you're having Kuzma screen and Sims is just out there. You're having the same problem.
No, you put him in the dunker.
I know, but it's a lot of players in the paint.
It's like it's not. I mean, I know Kuzma isn't Giannis. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it's a lot.
I'm not saying it can't work.
It's a very similar concept. Like a lot of teams do that.
I know. It does make it harder. And a lot of really good teams have 4 I think
your bench has the shooters to be able to compensate.
Yeah. I think it can work. I just think you've got to be. I think you got to try and limit it to 2 non-spacers at a time, which means Kuzma, Giannis, Lopez, as much as they like it, as much as it's been a good group defensively. I just don't think it's the key to doing that.
Yeah, Taurean Prince wins again.
He is, in the best way possible, a cockroach.
He really is. It's incredible.
It's not going away.
Like he's like. I know this isn't like the main point of discussion, but man, that dude's been really good. Like you and I talked last time about him is like, why are you tasking him as a pick and roll ball handler with Giannis? And I was watching a lot of this like OKC game and even some of the Pacers game, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna really intently watch these possessions, and it just works.
He's been good attacking the basket lately.
It just works. Like he knows he's such a smart basketball player that I think accounts for like it just makes up for everything else, right? Like he's so smart. He knows exactly what to do with the ball. Does it go his way a lot of the time? It's not going to go his way the majority of the time. But he knows exactly, like he's making the right decisions out there.
Yeah. I mean, he was 3 for 4 from 2 against OKC, and he was 2 for 2 from 2 against Indiana. I think he's cut out some of the worst of the TP hero ball shots. Like, a lot of them are actually at the rim now and his little runners, which I don't mind. His, like, pull-up twos and, like, post hooks were really pissing me off. It feels like he's understood that, and now he's, like, using Giannis's gravity to leverage and get himself to the rim, which is good.
He's done the best job of that since, this is going to sound like I meant this comp to sound impressive, but it doesn't.
Pat C.
Yeah, since Pat.
Yeah. Well, we got to look at. I want to talk about Pat C some more. I agree with you on Prince, by the way. I think Prince has kind of beat the allegations and figured it out, even though it's still not a great role for him. And his spacing is just really important to this group. They just really need it. I mean, he's 0 for 2 from deep against OKC, but still, he is a great.
You trust his season.
I can't believe he only played 24 minutes in that game. I mean, I know there's garbage time, but that's probably too quick of a hook from Doc when Prince is going to play 32. They don't go to Giannis at the 5 enough. That's very clear.
He was getting
that
torched
needs to
by
happen
Shea.
more. Well, yeah, but you could still, again, play him with a smaller guy.
Yeah, they just, yeah.
That they clearly should have tried the small lineup, and I know OKC is big, so I think they're hesitant, but, like, just try it.
Yeah, because Hartenstein was tearing you apart.
Yeah, but he was tearing apart with Brook, and your offense stalled. Like I think they need to try Giannis at the 5 more, and they're hesitant to do it. But
I think the calf injury plays a little bit into that.
Maybe.
I mean, I think, right? It has to. You would hope it does. Like, maybe I'm just trying to like defend the decision.
But I feel like if you want to find reasons not to do it, you can find them all the time. But you probably just need to do it.
Yeah, you can tell Giannis feels a lot better with his calf, though.
Yeah, he looks much. I mean, I know he's still on the injury report every game. So is Dame. They've both physically looked better, I thought.
Yeah, they've both been playing relatively well too.
Yeah, but the
Giannis
Bucks. Yeah, at least Dame got to the free throw line a bunch against OKC. Speaking of free, if you want a free $50 on Prize Picks, here's what you do. You sign up, you download the app, you can find it in our descriptions, or just type in Prize Picks to the major app stores and download that app, sign up today, use code Gyro Step, and you can get $50 free when you play $5, whether you win or lose. Prize Picks is super simple. More than 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. They've made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. All you do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Prize Picks is the best place to get in on the action in sports in more than 30 states, including Wisconsin, California, Texas, and Georgia. Folks, the second half of the basketball season is here. The race to the playoffs is heating up on Prize Picks, but it's the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Do not miss your chance to cash in as the league's best fight playoff positioning. I'll tell you, I'm looking for a lot of Giannis, either points or PRA. Again, he was at 43 PRA, even with a bad game against OKC. He is lighting it up lately. I also usually like Dame made threes. I tried AJ Green made threes. Thought I could guess the slump bust. Did not happen. But TP, Torian Prince made threes is also good. And starting on Thursday, truly bonkers part of March begins, and hundreds of players from many, many schools, which I could not name them all, will also be on Prize Picks, and it's a really fun way to take in the March insanity that will be going on, especially those first few games when there's a new game on like every 30 minutes. So check it out. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code EuroStep. Play $5. Your first $5 lineup, 2 to 6 players, more or less. Very simple. You win, you lose. You get $50. Thanks to us and our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks, run your game.
You know what's another fun one, by the way?
What's that?
Brook Lopez dunks. It's usually projections usually half. So it's like, is he going to have one or is he not?
He's attacking the rim more lately.
And he usually finds his way to sneak one in there.
Which is funny that
he's trying to prove that he still can dunk.
I think he is. Well, he's like attacking the rim more and relying on his 3 less, which I think is good for his game, but also bad for the starters because now there's even less spacing. When Brook is tight sealing, they're ignoring Kuzma, and now there's just like 4 guys huddled up around the paint, and they're like, "Good luck, Giannis."
Yeah. Speaking of tight seals, you know what I said? I told you I was watching a lot of college basketball this weekend. First of all, I am not the person who's going to say this. I don't want to talk about the Bucks for a second. Sorry, I need to calm down. College basketball is really good this year.
Yeah, I agree. I watched a lot this weekend too, and I was like, these games are fun.
They actually play basketball, which is awesome.
Yeah, there's so many times where I'm ready for the whistle to blow, and they just let them play on for like marginal contact on drives, and I'm like, this is how the game should be.
But they're just like they play high level basketball now, which is it's not NBA level basketball, but it's way better than what it used to be. Like I used to hate watching college, but now I'm like, oh, this is fairly enjoyable.
They've adapted a lot. Even Wisconsin, I watched Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, and they started and they took like 6 of their first 7 shots with threes, and they bricked all of them, and they had to like start playing more inside out as a response. Whereas in the past, they just did not look that modern. It didn't work for him in that game, unfortunately, for Wisconsin, but it is. I agree with you. It's more akin. It's more in like the styling of NBA basketball now.
Yeah,
and I just think like the games are fast. They don't blow as many whistles. There's like less of the BS, like the yelling at everything. Like I was watching Magic Cavs, and like every single play on the court, and the Magic won, but Franz and Paolo just whining and moaning to the officials. It's just annoying to watch.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I still prefer the NBA. Like,
I do too.
Greatly prefer
there's just
the
certain
NBA.
things that make college fun.
Yeah. But
It's like a refresher.
I was watching a bunch of tournament games, and
Yeah.
then I switched it on to like the end of Nuggets Wizards, I think, and I was like, oh, this is just so much better.
I mean, the NBA needs to work on the slowdowns.
Yeah.
Like the end of games just can be excruciating with all the reviews and everything. Although the Big Ten tournament was like that too. They had like 3 straight out of bounds off
Sometimes
somebody's
I feel like
calls.
college does it more.
Yeah, and they reviewed all of them.
Yeah.
But I think college, like, I don't know, it feels like they call less timeouts sometimes and let them play more. Maybe they just have fewer timeouts.
And also
in games.
because it's a shorter game.
It's a shorter game. But there's just, I think there's more stoppage. Anyway.
Pat Connaughton?
Yeah, he appeared again. Still can't guard anybody. Missed a layup.
Appeared is a strong word.
He did appear. I mean, he was there. He had an assist. The drive still looks good. Everything else still looks bad. So I feel like we kind of understand where we're at right now.
Yeah, I said last pod like maybe we should get a Patsy appearance, but it's like for what? I still think maybe. I think it could work.
No, I'm done. I don't believe in the shooting anymore, and that I don't think they can afford him if he can't shoot.
Yeah, he's doing life lately. Posts on Instagram. It's over.
Yeah, he started a LinkedIn.
Did he?
He started a LinkedIn. He's a LinkedIn poster now.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at. There.
Did that before me.
Yeah, you're held out longer than Pat C did. We also saw Ajax
$9 million
with a nice
player
drive.
option, by the way.
Yeah, the walk-in trade exception is what they're calling him in our Discord.
Love Pat Facts too.
Pat Facts is good.
Do you know he played baseball?
I did know that. Rollins 2 blocks in under 4 minutes.
It's crazy, right?
He's just going. Made one of his 2 threes. Made another shot. He continues to look really good. I don't know if he's feeling better from the core. What was it? What was his injury?
It was personal reasons.
Well, but he also was playing through
a shoulder injury.
Yeah, shoulder. I don't know. I was thinking core. He looks more spry. Maybe it's just because he only has to play like 4 minutes a game because he's a garbage time guy at the moment.
He's like, I got my contract.
Yeah, feeling good. Gonna go hit free agency. Get another vet min somewhere probably.
Hopefully with the Bucks.
Which is more than a 2-way. Yeah, hopefully on the Bucks.
But I think
Ajax had a nice drive.
Ajax did have a nice drive. And like, again, this is what I mentioned earlier, where it's like I could see people like saying, oh, Ajax can play. Like I see the value. Like he's not a bad player.
No.
Like
he's a bad fit for this.
He's a very bad fit. This Bucks team needs to do a lot of retooling this offseason.
Yeah. I mean, it would be really helpful if Brook and Kuz just both shot like 39% the rest of the way. I just don't think it's going to happen.
No.
From 3, to be clear, not from the field.
From the field.
Monkey paw curls. You got it, Ty.
39% at the rim. That's what you're going to see.
Yeah, I feel like they just went too far with the like, okay, we can have some athletes and it would help. And it's like, okay, it did. And then they like threw in 3 guys like that. And now half of the rotation is that. And now it's like, oh yeah, this is why they never did this under Bud, because now Giannis is just, I mean, he's still having really good games, but it does feel like he's got to work through. I mean, he can beat the Pacers up, but like bigger teams, OKC, the really good teams, the Cavs, there's just so much presence around the paint right now.
Yeah, and like maybe if Big Bob didn't fail his test, maybe he could have been turned into another piece. Like I think that was the plan. That's not confirmed by anything. That's just my intuition. Is I think that was the plan, but they weren't really allowed to do it.
I mean, Big Bob. Like if we get 39% from 3 Big Bob versus 32% from 3 Big Bob, could make a half an attempt
difference.
A game. Well, that I get like there's 2 Big Bobs. There's one where he shoots well, and there's one where
he two. I can barely handle one of them.
There's 2 Big Bobs. That's true though. The games where he shoots like 4 threes per game and makes a good clip is a totally different player on impact than the other guy. And depending on which, I know they're like basically they turn the herd into like a Big Bob practice team,
which is awesome, by the way.
They're like shuttling him up all the time so he can stay ready. Which, hey, I mean, good for them. But the herd are probably going to miss the playoffs, unfortunately.
They really tried. Thursday. They almost brought it back.
Oh, dude, they blew a really bad lead against. God, was that Windy City? I forget who it was.
I think it was Windy City.
Yeah, I hope on Thursday they're still in the loss column.
They nailed the West Coast road trip.
It's not over. It's not over. I would love to see playoff ball in Oshkosh Arena. We'll see. But yeah, they've become the Bob travel team, which is a good use of resources considering He's going to be an important player, I think, one way or another. I think there's no world where Bob comes back and they just don't play him. He could be the spacing big that they need.
He could be the spacing 4 that they need.
Like rebounding, like could the perfect Bucks lineup? Perfect.
Oh no. I'm
Be
scared.
Dame, Trent, Kuz, Bob, Giannis. Because you can have Bob do the rebounding. Like, he does a lot of boarding, and he's big, and he gives you that size they like with Brook, but he can space the floor.
Is he can like Ty? We've watched so much Bob film. Like,
If he does it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we've been saying this for years
if you catch
now.
him on the right, 10 to 15 game run.
It's just that lineup already makes me upset. I can already tell. Like, I'm gonna be yelling at Kuz to like stop just standing in the corner. I'm gonna be yelling at him and Bob to just switch places, and then we're just gonna clear out the floor for a Bob post up. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, probably.
Kuzma's gonna cut into Giannis, and they're gonna both fall over, and Bob's gonna turn around, even though his defender's like, "Hey, what happened here?" And no one's between him and the rim. He's still gonna take a turnaround fade. That's what's gonna happen. I'm out.
There's the good Bob, that lineup would be awesome. The bad Bob, it's gonna go exactly like you said.
I really hope Bob is just watching these games, thinking, "How can I fit into this? Not how is this team gonna fit around me?"
Fit in, not fit out.
Yeah. I'm like actually upset right now.
The double Bob variant lineup. You live by the sword, you die by. You live by the Bob, you die by the Bob.
We just need a starting 5 of Bob variants. That's just it.
Kuzma, Bob, Naz Reid. I forget who else we called Bob variants. Reid. Julius Randle at the 1.
Yeah, Julius Randle's at the 1. He's there. Is that 4?
Yeah, that's 4. Are there enough Bobs?
Cat?
No, Cat's not a Bob variant.
No,
I don't think. It's not just every big who's bad at defense. It's like
it's not the same play style.
You gotta like pound that thing down low a bit.
Paolo is the ultimate Bob variant?
Oh, I like Paolo as a Bob variant a lot. Gen Z optimized Bob.
He's ultimate Bob, right?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think KG is the ultimate Bob.
Then too good of a defender.
True. Well,
Way too good of a defender.
I don't know if the Bob variant has to be a bad defender.
I think he does.
Oh, Dirk's probably not.
No, Dirk's not a Bob.
Well, Dirk might be the ultimate Bob variant. Like, if you're good enough, like, you can take those post-up turnarounds all day and your teams are just like, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, does Dirk play that differently than Big Bob?
Dirk would get himself set up into positions more than Bob does, but I think that's probably the most different comparison, which isn't like a big deal, really.
Yeah. Because he's better. I mean, you get to better spots when you're better. I mean, when Big Bob is on, he looks like Dirk out there.
He does.
Not visually, but this guy's just like splashing 18-footers, knocking down threes, like getting. No, you know what? Dirk gets to the rim more. Well, that's why he's the ultimate Bob.
Speaking of KG, I shared this in our chat, but I gotta say it on the pod. I'll show it when I get it. I bought a Thon Maker basketball card.
Oh. Yeah.
And you know what the quote on the back says?
Oh no.
It's about gets KG talking about how good.
Jesus Christ. I wonder if there's a Rashad Vaughn card out there with Stan Van Gundy's quote that suckered me in somewhere. I'll have to get that one.
I'll show it when it arrives.
He's gonna be a good player in this league for a long time.
Yeah, it didn't really work out, Stan, did it?
No. Well, neither did KG's Don quote.
No, it didn't, which makes it that much funny. That dude's gonna be an MVP, man.
God. What other Buck stuff? I mean, we talked about this lineup stuff. Gary looks good. How much does the lineup stuff
he's the
really
one?
matter?
He's the one going into the starting lineup for Kuz, by the way, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's earned it at this point. He's been one of their most reliable offensive players. Yeah, that was decent against the Thunder at least, but I just think overall has just been on a backslide lately, which is tough. They still should try him every game, and then you probably like Brook. You kind of treat him like Brook. Again, that's why a little worried about Doc. He's gonna have to pull a lot of right levers because there's too many players to play all of them a bunch in a playoff series, and they don't all fit together well. It's just not as plug and play as the Horst Bud teams were, because those teams were not built like, at a mad dash at the trade deadline.
Hmm.
I see the sentiment a lot. I don't think a Bucks breakdown, who I usually agree with and am a fan of, I don't think their biggest issue is that they don't have that clear third creator. Like it obviously isn't helping. I don't think that's like totally impossible to do. I mean, OKC in this game, when they scored a bunch of points, they had Shea and then what? Hartenstein? Who's a good creator.
The reason a third creator is necessary when it is possible to guard your other two. Excuse me. So it makes sense in this scenario to say why Kuz is not a good third creator, because it's like, oh, they're sending 3 to Giannis and Dame. Can there be another guy to really create? However, if you change the lineup and make it so you can't throw 3 at Giannis and Dame, you don't need a third creator.
But my point is, if they're sending 3 to that, you don't need the guy to create. You need the guy to hit a shot. The creation is getting the advantage.
I don't think create is the right word. So I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
But it's like you need a guy to be able to like make good decisions.
Yeah.
Like can you attack? Can you attack? Can you pass out of it? Like can you?
Yeah.
Like.
But that's to me is role player stuff. That's not like you don't need Chris Middleton level guy to do that.
No.
Gary Trent, Taurean Prince, like they've been doing that. They can do that fine. Like there's just not enough of them on the floor, I think, at a given time with the primaries. But like I don't think you're like totally done as an offense, because you have Dame and Giannis, and then your third best like creator or whatever is either Trent or Kuzma. Like to me, that's fine. You don't look at the great teams, and I don't think a lot of them, it's like, oh, they have so many guys who are, matchup or not like they create advantages on the ball. Like they're just so decisively great offensive creators in that sense. Like OKC, I know J-Dub is an all-star, and obviously he's better than any third guy in the Bucks, but he's their second guy. Their third guy is either Chet or Ihart's a really good creator for a center. But it's not like there's like 50 ball handlers who are breaking you down all the time.
It's like not every team is, you don't have to have the Celtics method, right?
No, the Celtics are awesome. The Cavs, they have 2 great creators, and I know Mobley does stuff with the ball, but Mobley is not. He's not an
offensive engine. Out there. No, like he's a great offensive player, but he's not an offensive engine.
Yeah, it's like they are the best offense in the league with 2 awesome creators, and then mostly guys who just do their thing. Yeah. And again, they're deeper. I'm not saying they're not deeper. They're not better up top.
That's what I was about to say. The guys that do their thing are just really, really good at doing their thing.
But also the thing is just better and makes more sense. That's the biggest thing I've seen when the Bucks play these top teams. It's like OKC has 2 starters out. They have, I'll say at most 2 creators with Hart and like, are we saying Caruso is miles ahead of like Kuzma or Trent or whatever? I don't think so.
No.
I mean, he's good with the ball, but he's not better than those. Like, you're not giving the ball to Caruso 10 times and tell him to break down the defense. But those teams know exactly what to do, and they just do it. Like they're just so fluid, and the Bucks, everything they do.
They're like, well-coached teams.
Yeah, exactly. The Bucks don't feel like their system is good enough, and it's simply they don't. It's not, because I just think the spacing is too bad for. I mean, they clearly want to work out of the post, whether it's pick and rolling to Giannis or posting up Giannis. And they want to be inside out, which is the way you pretty much have to play with Giannis. But with the spacing and the lineups they use, it's just really hard to do that.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know.
Like there's a reason that Bud built these teams with the guys in the boxes. And I don't think there's no room between what Bud did and what Doc is doing. Like I think there doesn't have to be exactly like that. But the offense worked really well for a reason. And they had Chris, Giannis, and Eric Bledsoe as their creators, and they won. Well, they upgraded to Drew, but like, they were a lot better with the in the last couple of Bledsoe years than they are right now offensively.
Their first year with Bud, like they instituted an offensive system for 1 year. They got Brook Lopez back onto and all this stuff, and they won 60 games.
Yeah.
Dante
DiVincenzo and Eric Bledsoe. Like I don't think those 2 are markedly better offensive players.
Got
than
muscles for
Kuzma,
no reason.
Prince.
Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah.
That's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
It is pretty funny. But that's just something I've been thinking about. Like, I don't think this roster is, like, it's not impossible to win with this group. I just don't think the way they're trying to do it is going to work.
Yeah. Here's who should start. Tyler Smith.
My
I
mic cut
hate,
out.
I hate that you thought about it for like a split second.
I looked at his box score from last night to see if there was a reason you said that, and
No,
he's 0 for 1 with no other stats in 2 minutes, and the miss was pretty bad.
I think the one guy we talked about him a little bit, but we probably didn't talk about it enough. Probably because it's not going to happen. Is Ryan Rollins not as a starter, but just as a role player,
Yeah,
like a
I mean,
solid
he just
spacer,
gives you the spacing that you're kind of lacking right
a
now. But the
good like
problem
a
is,
hard-nosed defender. Like he's going to get beat by size, but like he's going to hold his own.
I think yes, and I think that the only way to do it is if you're just going to play smaller, because like there's not one perimeter player I would take out for him because he's not like their twos are all good spacers, which is
Yeah,
what's nice. So you're not gonna, you don't bench like Green for Rollins, and then suddenly your spacing is fixed. It's a little worse if you do that. But like, can we take 6 minutes away from Brook on some of these nights, and maybe a little bit from someone like and then make it like Green or Rollins or whoever plays more if they're doing well. Like, I'm into that. But then I think that's gone again when Bob is back anyway.
yeah, but it's like a lineup. Like I like the Dame KPJ lineups. I like them more than I thought I would.
Yeah,
But like when Dame is not on the court, like a Rollins KPJ, like we're talking about those bench lineups. Like, can we have
yeah,
Rollins in there as like uh, a little bit of a facilitator? KPJ, Trent, Kuzma Sims, or
yeah.
Green
I mean,
Kuzma Sims.
he was fitting really well with the team, and I think he would continue to do so. But I just I would give him shots for sure. And the rest of the time, Bob is out. And like, does he supplant an AJ Green or at least get himself in the convo enough that you like kind of roll with both in the playoffs since he's doing better? Like Bud used to with like Dante and Grayson or whatever. Sure. Or Dante and
Maybe.
Pat. Sorry. I think Grayson was there too late. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad AJ hit some threes.
Yeah. Much needed.
Very good. They were both corner threes, I believe.
Yeah.
He's above the break threes are kind of struggling. I'll need to look at a heat map of his shots lately, but
Yeah.
it's like those Sam Cassell shots are just not going in like they used to.
Well, yeah, it's what I just feel like they need to get guys like him. And I guess you could say him over Trent. I just think Trent is better. And it
Trent's
should be
better. He's a
Trent.
smarter defender.
And he does more on the ball. Which
Yeah,
again, if you want more creation, like in your starting lineup, get Gary Trent out there.
yeah. AJ Green hit a two, like he hit a mid-range shot, and I'm like, oh, good for AJ. And then I'm like, oh, that's just normal for Gary Trent.
Yeah.
Like I trust him way, way, way more.
He's been awesome since like the basically that first 10 whenever he came back from that injury after
Third
those first
third
10.
best player right now?
Yeah, probably. It's probably him or Brooke or Prince. Those are probably the four I'd put in the combo.
Yeah. It's
With
not
obviously
Kuzma.
Damon. Yeah. No. No, he's got but defensively it's been really good, but it
Defensively, it's
just
been really good. It's like you
cannot be
just
this bad
do
offensively.
something off it. Like you are an offensive player.
I don't know if it's
that's
all
what
on him.
that's what breaks my brain. It's not like it's the positions to succeed, but at the end of the day, like do something. Like
He is missing looks that he could certainly make
is
as well.
this situation where he's like playing with like three non-spacers, like is or two other non-spacers? Is it worse than what he was doing in Washington?
No, no, it's not.
And he was still succeeding there.
Yeah.
Like, can you is he just like overwhelmed? I don't know what's going on.
I mean, they're saying he's like kind of getting himself into game shape again, or not like winning basketball shape, which is really interesting. I don't
It's
know.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
We shall see. The
Yeah.
Bucks show
West
once again
Coast.
that they're poised for a second round exit.
Yep. That's
They
what they look
they
like
can't
this
hang.
weekend.
They really can't hang.
No, and they're not going to really have another chance to prove they can probably until playoffs at this point.
Yep. I mean, maybe the reporting with Jalen Brunson is that he's not going to be back until like maybe the playoffs, early April. So maybe
Yeah.
that Knicks game is a
Yeah, I mean,
little bit in
even if he was
flux.
playing, I just feel like they're not the same level of. I mean, it'd be nice. I mean, it still would be good for them to win that, but I mean, this Warriors game might be one of their better tests. Tuesday, late night games, West Coast trip. The Lakers, I don't think LeBron is going to be back yet. They're
No, I
still a
think he
good
said
team
he
though.
could miss at least another week as of yesterday, so I
Yeah,
don't
so
think he's going to
probably
be playing.
not. Kings, Suns, bad. They got Nuggets and Knicks the second to middle and then end of next week, and those are really their top the top teams they play. Then there's one against the Wolves, and that's it. So, like I said, by Friday, March 28th, they're going to have played the best teams they have left on their schedule by far. And we will know more by then. But again, they would have to prove our thought wrong that they're not in that top tier. Because I think it's hard to argue with that right now. It's just all the evidence they've given us all year is that they're just not that top tier team. And last 2 weeks to prove that you are.
Yeah, you have 15 games left.
But again, like if you don't do it by March 28th, you got Lakers, Warriors, Nuggets, Knicks by then. I'm not gonna. Oh wow, they look great between the Hawks and the Suns. Okay, great, but that's not the bar.
No, it's not. I wanted them last time I said their goal is 50 wins. I don't think that's going to happen. They have to go 12-3 the rest of the way.
Yeah, no shot. I mean, at this point, if they might lose 3 on this next week alone, this West Coast trip.
Yeah, can you keep 4? Like that's my new goal.
Yeah. I think if they have a losing record on this road trip, I'm just going to be like, yeah, they're not going to do it. Because anytime there's like any sort of like anything that would hold you back, any reason to lose, the Bucks tend to take it lately.
Yep. That's just what this team has shown us it is.
Yeah.
And on that very happy note, we'll say thank you for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on Blue Iron GSPN, presented by our amazing, wonderful friends over at Prize Picks. Make sure you check them out. Use that link in our description code. I lost my train of thought. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening or watching this podcast platform of choice, YouTube. Check out gspn.info for all things GSPN. Pod random. And we'll talk to you next time.